Right action and the power of compassionate understanding. What is right action? What is an action that supports peace? We listen to one another in order to gain understanding and a fuller view of right action. The starting point on the Eightfold Path is right view. And right view begins with recognition of our interdependent nature, our interbeing. To truly listen and learn from one another, we practice dropping our mental judgments and defenses so the intuitive wisdom of our hearts can rise and lead us forward. And we gather as a sangha to take refuge in one another and strengthen our capacity to ground as we seek to understand what is ours to do. Each session, we drink from the teachings to renew clarity as we face the storms of moral crisis that are swirling all around us. For every day, we witness actions through headlines and images that violate the beloved community of life that Martin Luther King and Thich Nhat Hanh and so many others dedicated their lives to building. We practice to become non-compliant with the power over structures that perpetuate injustice, structures of the society we all live inside of. Mindfulness is a path of nonviolence, a path that embraces ahimsa, choosing actions rooted in compassion and respect for all life. It offers a way of living that diminishes the seeds of war and nourishes the reality of an inclusive, beloved community. In light of these teachings, judgment that casts blame or shame is understood as a subtle form of violence. And last summer, when I started this Dharma talk, I had listened to a recorded interview of Thich Nhat Hanh by Krista Tippett. She had attended this really large, like over 500 people who had gathered with Thich Nhat Hanh, and it included quite a large group of police officers. And so in her interview, Krista asked Thich Nhat Hanh, "Is your teaching any different if you are speaking to members of Congress, Hollywood filmmakers, or law enforcement officers?" And Thai responded by saying, "The practice would be the same, but we need friends to show us how a certain group of people live and what kind of suffering and difficulties they encounter, so that we can understand them. We must understand the suffering and difficulties of others before we can offer the appropriate teaching and practice. This is why we continue to learn every day with our practice and sharing." And he went on to say that this intention for deeper understanding of others is foundational to our practice. Listening to how others' experiences have shaped their lives hones our ability to listen to daily life. Understanding arises from a non-dual state of being. When anchored in the present moment, we are able to move beyond conditioned perceptions and judgments to truly enter one another's reality. The fluidity of mindfulness welcomes honest sharing from many perspectives. Mindfulness and concentration help you see and touch things deeply, so you might understand the true nature of what is there, freeing you from misconceptions. When you are mindful, you are fully alive. You are fully present. You can get in touch with the wonders of life that nourish and heal you. You become stronger, more solid, and more able to handle the suffering inside of you and around you. When you are mindful, you can recognize, embrace, and transform pain and sorrow. And if you continue with concentration and insight, you'll be able to transform the suffering inside and help transform the suffering around you. And he says that transformation is a miracle because you understand the nature of suffering. You know how to make use of suffering in order to build peace and happiness. Suffering is the way to understanding and compassion. Our suffering and our happiness are both organic, like garbage and flowers. Flowers on their way to becoming garbage, and garbage on its way to becoming flowers. And as part of my practice, I have chosen to track when I'm feeling victimized. And needless to say, it's difficult to experience the miracles of life while feeling victimized. Dwelling in victimization is like decay that eats away at the truth of my being, eroding my integrity and potential. And my relationship to suffering changes when I choose not to be diminished or defined by my suffering. Victimization is a point of view that can be transformed. And the civil rights activists diligently practiced transforming the discrimination they suffered. Through choosing to be rooted in the truth of their inherent dignity and claiming their rightful place in society, identification with victimhood dissolved. Even as hatred rained down on their bodies and they were beaten. This level of transformation is indeed a miracle. The Dharma, as it comes to us through the Buddha and as it comes to us through the civil rights leaders, is radical. And throughout his life work, Martin Luther King asked the question, where do we go from here? Chaos or community? And so I will complete this talk with some of Martin Luther King's wisdom that it may be continued into this world. He said, the question is not whether we will be extremist, but what kind of extremist will we be? Hatred paralyzes life. Love releases it. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. The hope of a secure and livable world lies with disciplined nonconformists who are dedicated to justice, peace, and brotherhood. He said, peace is not a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. We must pursue peaceful ends through peaceful means. Peace represents a sweeter music, a cosmic melody that is far superior to the discords of war. Somehow we must transform the dynamics of the world power struggle from the nuclear arms race, which no one can win, to a creative contest to harness man's genius for the purpose of making peace and prosperity a reality for all the nations of the world. If we have the will and determination to mount such a peace offensive, we will unlock hitherto tightly sealed doors of hope and bring new light into the dark chambers of pessimism. The stability of the large world house, which is ours, will involve a revolution of values to accompany the scientific and freedom revolutions engulfing the earth. A civilization can flounder as readily in the face of moral and spiritual bankruptcy as it can through financial bankruptcy. A nation that continues to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. There is nothing except a tragic death wish to prevent us from reordering our priorities so that the pursuit of peace will take precedence over the pursuit of war. And he encouraged others, saying, never succumb to the temptation of bitterness. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step.